Welcome back to Wedded Whispers, everybody. Glad to have you along for the ride. Thanks for coming back. This thing is very much a labor of love and work in progress. So you guys bear with me as I try to get this scheduling thing together. It's rough trying to do a podcast and getting everything started right during fall wedding season. So you guys bear with me. I appreciate your patience first and foremost, and I appreciate you hanging out with me, trying to pick up on the little nuggets of knowledge I can throw you guys' way. Today we're going to be talking about a little something money around the greater Nashville area. I'm somewhere smack between Nashville and Bowling Green. I have no aspirations for being the content creator that brings you numbers and items for the U.S. at large. I've not worked in the U.S. at large, so I'm going to stick to what I know, which is the greater Nashville area, Bowling Green, North Georgia, Clarksville, Chattanooga area, the areas that I have knowledge in, the areas that I've worked in, the areas that I can speak to. Today we're going to talk a little bit about money, budgets, what it's going to cost, little tips and tricks as far as your budget is concerned. 2023, the average wedding cost in Nashville can range anywhere from $21,000 to $35,000. There are or have been weddings in the Nashville area as high as $175,000 for luxury weddings. I think the top that I could find was $182,000. That's a lot of money. But let's break this down to something that makes a little more sense. We're going to hang out around $1,200. Oh, sorry, $12,000. $12,000 entire budget, turnkey, event, vendors, the whole nine. That's what we're going to talk about first. And one thing I want to just throw at you, if you're doing, let's say you're doing a 5-hour event. I'm not talking about all the, pre-ceremony items. I'm talking about from start of event, ceremony start to end. If you've got a $12,000 budget, you're essentially paying $40 per minute for your event. Let that sink in. And I say that so that you just kind of think about it a little differently, in order to kind of wrap your mind around getting the most bang for your buck and making sure that on a modest budget of $12,000, you really want to make sure that you're getting quality vendors, quality everything at $40 per minute. Let's talk wedding DJs. Wedding DJs in Nashville cost anywhere between starting somewhere between $500 and $1,300 per event. And I know that's a wide range for a starting number, and I wish that there were a more solid number that I could give you, but there just isn't. My recommendation, and this is just some guy on the internet that has a podcast throwing some information at you. Take it with a grain of salt. Ignore it if you want. My personal belief is that if you're looking at DJs sub $600, you are kind of putting yourself at risk. And I really hate to say that, but it is a thing. If you go into any wedding planning group, we've got several based in the Nashville, Tennessee area. One in particular is the same words but backwards, Middle Tennessee. But these wedding groups, we see it all the time as DJs. Somebody's looking last minute for a DJ, that canceled on them 2 weeks out or 1 week out, or God forbid, day before or day of. And there have been those day of. I have myself filled in for events getting, that call 2 days in advance, 1 day in advance. It does happen, and you should be aware of that. I'm not saying that all sub $600 DJs are, problems, but, the same thing with, getting a photographer. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. What I can tell you is that once you're starting to look at you know, the $900, $1,000, $1,200 DJs for a bass package, more than likely, I'm going to say 99% of the time you're talking about guys with experience that have been through the ringer, that have systems and processes in place to make sure that your day is going to happen the way you want it to happen, and you will never know about the behind the scenes things that potentially could have put your day into a tailspin. So let's move on. Coordinators. I will say this: coordinators cannot be replaced. There are several DJs out here, myself included, that can fill in on some of the functions of a day of coordinator. We may have systems in place that can help with timelines, so on and so forth, but there is no replacing a coordinator. That price for a coordinator is going to vary greatly depending on the type of services you hire, such as day of coordination, month of planning, or full service planning. I checked on Zola. The average cost of a day of wedding coordination is somewhere between $1,500 and $8,000. That's a day of. There again, the circles that I run in, if you're looking at a day of coordinator and they're less than six or $700, it's probably somebody, maybe a bride that pulled off her wedding a year ago and decided she wanted to go into planning. And not to say that that's a bad rate to pay. Take the risk if you want. Money matters, and I get it. But all things being equal, here again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Ask questions, vet your vendors. No matter what you're paying, always, always, always vet your vendors. Your day of coordinators are going to be creating itineraries for your wedding day. They're going to distribute that most likely to other vendors and key people that need to know, what's going on and when. They're going to oversee your setup for the ceremony, reception. They're going to handle so many things. A coordinator, especially a full service coordinator, you're going to pay good money, but they're going to handle everything. They're going to handle your vendors. They're going to handle the payments. They're going to, talk to your venue. They're going to all the things. Even day of, they're going to make sure everybody knows what time to get there. They're going to check in your vendors. They're going to contact vendors if they might be running late. They're going to handle so many things behind the scenes that you will never know about. And that's the sign of a good coordinator, is that you don't know about it. They handle it. So let's talk a little bit about catering. Catering around Nashville is going to cost you between, and a large gap here between one to the other, $20 to $75 a person. And this is really depending on the service that you want, the number of people being served, and other factors. If you have a larger wedding and you require more staff, that's going to factor. Service staff, if the caterers don't provide service staff, you may need to hire a separate catering staff company that can cost as much as $1,000 in addition to the per person meal price. So consider that when you're hiring your caterer. Do they bring enough staff? Do they have enough staff to cover your larger wedding? Most smaller weddings, now you have a lot of wiggle room. You can get crafty. You can do food trucks. You can do, buffet style. Typically, is going to cost a little less than plated dinners. If you're doing something where they're going to, serve, salads, and then they're going to serve the main course, of course, you're going to be closer to that, $60, $70 per person cost on that. Decor. The cost of wedding decor in Tennessee varies greatly. You can be simple, you can be elaborate. This is probably the widest gap and the thing you'll have to do the most research on when it comes to your wedding. The average in our area, Greater Nashville, for wedding decorations is somewhere between $2,000 and $10,000. May include flowers, centerpieces, ceremony decor. That's going to vary greatly depending on what you want. If you're doing live, or sorry, if you're doing real flowers, fake flowers. If you're having that decor person also do your bouquet, your boutonnieres, all those items, your centerpieces, your decor for the ceremony site. If it's if you've got an indoor outdoor type of deal, and that's another way to save money is if and I know multi-location weddings is a real deal right now. Having an outdoor ceremony, indoor reception. If you're looking for ways to cut cost, you can do same location for ceremony and reception and save a little on your decor cost. Another thing, I cannot remember a guest or hearing about after a wedding what the centerpieces look like. I know you want it to look the way you want it to look, but decor is really one of those places, one of the larger places that you can save a ton of money. People will remember what they'll remember what they ate before they remember what their centerpiece looked like. I can tell you that. Let's get into alcohol a little bit. The cost of alcohol for a wedding in Nashville, Tennessee, according to Zola as well. And this is also going to depend on what type of service you're having. If it's an open bar, if the venue is handling the alcohol, or maybe your catering service also does alcohol. But let's start at open bar. Open bar is going to cost you somewhere around $2,500. That's an average cost per person, $20 to $30 per person. A limited bar, which might maybe include beer and wine, that's going to cost you somewhere around $15 to $20 per person. But a full open bar is going to cost you somewhere between 35 and 45 per person, 35 to 45 per person. And a good way to get around that is maybe to do a wine and maybe two signature drinks. That way you can better control the cost of the alcohol. You can just decide what brand of vodka or those that type of thing. You can better control the cost on that. Wedding venues. Typical wedding venue in Nashville, around Greater Nashville, is going to be anywhere between $1,500 to over $15,000, depending on the location, your time of year, a lot of other factors into that. On average, you're gonna spend about $5,000 to $15,000, but some say the average closer to a little somewhere around $6,000. And this really depends on where you look. There are a lot of variables in this. What time of year, day of week, if you're doing, micro wedding, because a lot of venues will give discounts for a micro wedding that's on a Thursday or a Friday, a holiday weekend, a Sunday, type of thing. We had some Labor Day weddings here this year. I almost locked one down, but I missed out on that, and I wasn't really mad about it because I had Labor Day weekend off. But there are certainly several ways within this that you can reduce your total cost. But I will tell you this, unabashedly, I will say that there are a ton of ways that you can save money. Two things that I would say do not skimp on. If you are hiring these two vendors, do not skimp on, first and foremost, your coordinator. Do not skimp on a coordinator. If you're getting a coordinator, make sure you're getting a good coordinator. Spend the money. If you're gonna spend it, spend the good money on a coordinator. They're worth their weight in gold, and I do not back up from that. Second thing I will say, do not skimp on, and this is not self-advertisement. DJ or your entertainment, especially if it's a DJ. And we could go back and forth between bands and DJs, and there are vast differences in the two. But if you are hiring a DJ, we do not just press play. DJs do so much for your event. Most of us have, amazing planning platforms or apps that you can log into and coordinate. We do planning sessions with you to figure out what is important to you, what matters the most to you. We'll go through that timeline with you. Most of the times we'll do a timeline with you before your photographer, or maybe even before your coordinator, just as a way of to get ahead of things and say, okay, if A is important to you, we might want to do B. Or if, look, this item that you want to do that is important to you, let's do that, but be aware that if you do this, this is going to happen or likely to happen. We've been around the block. We know these things inside and out. We can, based on the questions that you answer for us. What type of crowd do you have? Are they a party crowd? Are they a chill crowd, just vibing? How important is the dance floor? Is lighting important? Are you doing a first look? Are you doing sunset pictures? These items that we're asking you aren't just questions on a form. It all matters, and we're basing how the night is going to run on the questions that you answer. And a DJ is going to, let me say this before I go there. Pre-ceremony, your photographer is running things. Your coordinator is running things behind the scenes. But your photographer is going to run all those pictures that are taken, prior to the ceremony. That's her timeline. Her or his timeline. That's their timeline. Pre-ceremony. Once that ceremony starts, through ceremony, into cocktail hour, if you're having a cocktail hour, into intros, into first dances, dinner, whatever that schedule looks like, a good DJ is going to make this day flow. They are the single thread, a DJ, that ties your entire day together from ceremony to end. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that money well spent on a DJ can make or break your event. So don't discount your DJ. And I know I went a little longer on the DJ part, but that's what I know the most about. And I can tell you that a DJ is definitely money well spent. So don't skimp on your coordinator. Don't skimp on your DJ. Just closing up here. Let's talk about dessert. I cannot tell you how much cake I see go to waste at every single wedding that has cake. It's mind-blowing. Now, if you want cake, by all means, get cake. Just know that 60% of that cake is going to end up in the trash at the end of the night. If I could suggest something there, do a dessert table. Mix it up a little bit. Do a couple, offer a couple items, maybe 3 different items. Spread it out. More of your guests will enjoy that than, there are a lot of people at weddings that just won't eat cake. There are a lot of people that go to weddings that don't like cake. Give them some options and you'll save money. Trust me. But that is it for this one. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. If you've got a question you want answered, hit me up in the Spotify notes. Hit me up on YouTube. This will be on YouTube as well at Wedded Whispers. And we have a new Facebook group, and it is Wedded Whispers. You guessed it. That is it for today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you found something good in this, if you find favor in what I'm trying to present here, leave me a little review. Hit that like button on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button if you don't care. And we will see you between now and then.